Welcome, everybody, to another episode of On the Range podcast with War HOGG Tactical and Kelley Defense. Today is August 10th. How's it going today, Rick?
Mark, it's going great, buddy. Just want to thank the viewers, listeners out there for giving us their most precious commodity, their time, for tuning in and helping us become top 3 of all podcasts globally. We couldn't do it without you guys. I just ask you, please go ahead, hit that subscribe button on whatever platform you're on. Don't forget, leave us a rating, review. I don't care if it's just a thumbs up emoji, just something to help us with extending our reach. And if you like what you guys are hearing, please share it with your friends.
Yeah, buddy. Thank you for making us part of your day, guys. And today, the show is brought to you by KillCliff. Visit killcliff.com. Use promo code OTR15. Save yourself some money and get some badass energy drinks with ingredients that do not suck. They are supporting and fueling the American dream, and they do support the Navy SEAL Foundation. Also, go check out Combat Flip-Flops. Go to combatflipflops.com. Buy yourself some badass gear, some summer gear. It's still hot out there. It's scorcher. Get yourself some flip-flops, some slides. They have some other collab sunglass bundles and all kinds of stuff. Griffin, the fam down there at combatflipflops.com do a great job. So today, Rick, we have a fantastic show. We are big fans of our next guest's channel, and I can't wait to get to talk to Rich Cooper. And his channel is a sensation. Entrepreneurs in Cars, and he's a lot of fun, and he's very matter of fact. And let's go ahead and bring him on, buddy.
All right, man, let's do it.
Today, guys, we have Richard Cooper, entrepreneur, author, and a host on a successful YouTube channel called Entrepreneurs in Cars. Now, I'm a big fan of the show. Rick and I talk about it all the time. Thanks for being here today, Rick. I know, Richard, I know that your time is tight. I really appreciate you being here and doing this with us.
Yeah, thanks for having me, guys.
Yeah, buddy. So Unplugged Alpha. Now, you want to go into that a little bit? Some of our listeners may not be familiar with that book, but I know it's hugely successful. It's the namesake of some of your current series on your YouTube channel. You want to go into that a little bit for us?
Yeah, it's really a distillation of all the stuff on my channel since 2014 that I thought was the most valuable. I put it in 2 or 3 different categories, one of them being the dating category. It's not really a book per se about dating. It's more of a book around how to put yourself first and how to unplug from lies society tells you that don't serve you as a guy. But it happened to rank really well in the dating category for some reason. It's pretty much always in the top 3 or 4 right now. And I think there's a reason for it. I mean, it offers a lot of insight and value to guys as far as things that have previously eluded them about women specifically, and what women are truthfully attracted to versus what, most guys have been told their entire lives what women are supposedly attracted to. Yeah. So there's that large element of it too.
Yeah.
Well, we live in a female first primary social order, and we have done so for several decades now, where men have intentionally made themselves less so women can become more. I think that the soundbite that affectionately sums this up today the best is simp. A lot of guys simp for women today in a way that they would have never done decades ago.
Yeah.
So that, there's a lot of environmental factors, and it's part nature and it's part nurture, but there's a lot of boys today that are not being raised to become men, to think for themselves, to be competent, to be strong and masculine, and to look the part and play the part. And unfortunately, guys think that, becoming soft and weak and meek and putting on a pink pussy hat and marching with the ladies is going to get them the girls. And I'm doing it in the quotation marks for those that are listening to the podcast.
Yeah.
But it simply doesn't work that way. And they find themselves at some point let down.
So, Rich, do you think part of that is just the, if you want to say the breakdown of the family nucleus, where you're seeing a lot more, single moms raising kids, or what do you think kind of the backstory society? I mean, what do you think's driving that factor of the demasculization?
Yeah, I think single parent households are certainly doing boys specifically a disservice. Girls as well, but probably both of our audiences are mostly men. So, I mean, let's talk about that part. Mothers can do a great job at being a mother, but they suck horribly at being fathers. But the problem is, society celebrates single motherhood. I mean, if you don't believe me, take a look at social media on Father's Day, and you'll see all kinds of posts from, single moms that are all about happy Father's Day to all the single moms out there playing the role of both parents, right now, sort of thing. A lot of the guys that I do consults with, one-on-one stuff, and I typically work with 7 and 8 figure, professional guys these days. So mostly entrepreneurs, lawyers, doctors, guys like that, that have come from single parent household. They really have to deprogram their mind to a degree so that they can open themselves up to really putting themselves first and becoming the best version of themselves, which is a very interesting dynamic, because you get a lot of pointing and sputtering from those out there that start seeing guys putting themselves first, right? Start making their own agenda a priority over bending the knee for a female first primary social order. I'm not saying that like it's a bad thing. It's just a feature of the environment that we as men live in today that you have to understand.
Yeah. And I bet that pushback, especially with someone who speaks as well as you do, and as a matter of fact as you do, there's got to be some pushback on that.
Yeah, there's lots of pushback. I mean, but a bomber only gets flak when it's over the target, right?
Right.
Nobody's trying to shoot you down when you're not over the target.
Yeah,
I get lots of it on social media, and I've had people try to cancel me. I've had certain social accounts shadow banned for a period of time, over a longer period of times. It's a bizarre summary of the world that we live in today, right? I remember when I was a kid, they used to tell me sticks and stones may break your bones, but words will never hurt me.
Yeah.
Or, if a kid came along and kind of picked on you, you'd be like, well, I'm rubber and you're glue, and what you say bounces off me and sticks to you. Like, we always had some clever little soundbite that my parent would have, taught me. I don't know if it came from my dad or my mom or somebody in the family, circle, but now it's like, words are offensive. You can't say anything today that might be deemed, somewhat politically incorrect, because someone somewhere is going to have their feelings hurt. And most of society waters down their language. I don't. I just don't care. I mean, you can't cancel me. Like, I've had people threaten to get me fired, but when they go and look up, like the companies that I work for, I'm on the paperwork as a president and CEO. So nobody's firing me.
It's hard to fire the president. Yeah.
Yeah, it's pretty funny. Like, I've had people that have messaged me and added me like, I'm going to get you fired. I see you work at this company. It's like, you might want to look a little closer because I'm the head of the company.
Yeah. That's a great point that you make, that words are offensive. And, in some ways they're said today that words are violence, and it's just not. It's just not, and it's a way to shut down any kind of conversation, especially like you said, over the target and correct. And they don't have an answer for it. But the entrepreneurs in cars, what a great concept. I love when you're zipping around in your sports cars and stuff. What's your A car right now?
My my favorite car is probably the McLaren 720S. It's just it's a weapon. It's really something that you should have a racing license to be able to purchase. I mean, most guys at that level have the skill, I think, for the most part, although you do see a lot of pictures and videos online of McLaren's trash because people turn off the traction control and flip it or hit a tree. But I like fast cars. It's a masculine, pursuit for me. I'm your typical high testosterone guy that likes fast cars, fast boats, fast planes, hot women. There's nothing wrong with that. It's completely normal. That's how we were built, right?
Yeah, 100%, Rich. And I think that the part, kind of circle back a little bit, is when you give kind of power to these big tech companies that are controlling, in essence, our freedom of speech, they can sit there and go, oh, we don't like what Rich is saying, or what whoever's saying, and then they start tweaking stuff. So, that right there to me is a big problem that stems half of the issues we're in. And I know you've talked about these different entities kind of shadow banning and restricting your speech. Have you seen where they've actually shut your page down or done something to a harsh point, or has it just kind of been restricting your access to getting your info out?
Shadow banning basically means that you can find the account, but you can't find the content, and or they don't recommend your content on the homepage. Like on YouTube, that would be the recommended page. Like on the homepage is recommended content. On TikTok, that's the For You page. Platforms are very different. Like, I thought TikTok, when I came across it, because it's Chinese owned, would let you basically say whatever you want. But it's become very, very clear to me now that they are probably the most restrictive when it comes to content. And something like Twitter, believe it or not, seems to be more for your speech, as much as people hate Jack Dorsey. But to give you an example, so on TikTok, like I created an account where basically I take shorter clips from my main channel, because they got to be 60 seconds or less, and I just repurpose them. So you just upload them to YouTube as a like Rich Cooper clips or Entrepreneurs in Cars clips, for example, or it's a short, you hashtag it short, and then I just take that exact same content and it gets uploaded to TikTok. Well, there was a gay man who was offended by my content, whose entire audience appeared to be or appeared to consist of outrage mob Karens. And, he made a hit piece on me. It got like 1.5 million views. I got a whole bunch of follows off it, which was great. Cause I mean, it's like, these guys don't realize that you're their most powerful unpaid marketing team. And they think that they're crapping on you. But a lot of people are like, oh, this guy seems to make sense. Let's go follow him instead of this dork. Anyway, but the vast majority of this guy's, audience probably went in and mass reported or flagged, my content. I got a big shadow ban for like 2 months. So it didn't matter what I uploaded. I would see it. It would look like that it's there, but the view counters stayed at 0. And if I had people that followed me look up my page, it basically looked like I deleted all my content. So that's essentially what a shadow ban is. So they're suppressing you from reaching people to hear your content. And there's not much that you can do about it. I mean, it's their platform. They own it. They can distribute your content to who they see fit. But you have to understand that the narrative is they're promoting content that promotes the pussification of the Western male. You don't maybe see it from my perspective, but when you see what they're endorsing, when they're putting out stuff on the For You page, which is either hot girls dancing around braless in a t-shirt with body parts sticking out through it, or the pussification of males, which is basically content that's designed to weaken men, bend the knee for women, become less so they can become more, vote for more free shit and socialist agendas, less freedom, all that sort of stuff. It's weird because it's like, this is a Chinese platform, and you understand that they're actively trying to weaken the West through their platform.
Yeah. Open air. I mean, it's no question. And it's funny that you say that type of content and what they're funneling through, and they're trying to demasculate the Western male. Not only that, it's not so much that these guys are trying to pick up chicks and they think that, acting sensitive and want to watch a rom-com instead of, Terminator or something is going to get them girls. It goes further than that. It's just like, if you don't take your kid to practice every day and you're not there at everything and miss work for those things. My dad used to say, hey man, look, the most important thing to your family and to you is that job. Nothing happens without it. You're not bringing in the income. Nothing can occur. Now, my dad never, he did miss some games, but most of the time he didn't miss games, but he didn't take off work just to take me to practice. I put my shoulder pads and helmet on and rode my bicycle to practice on my own. You just don't see those kind of things. So I think it extends a lot further than what people are even saying. They look down upon you because you don't take off work to go to every single little thing.
Yeah. I mean, there's all kinds of these little nuances and rabbit holes that you could travel down. And, there's parts of it that are real. There's some that are imagined. There's some people that manufacture indignation out of nothing. But I mean, the general theme is, there's a lot more emotions. It's like an emotional roller coaster today. Whereas when I was younger, it just seemed like everything was more stabilized and normal, like normative.
Yeah. But one thing, Rich, that I've noticed too, is you do a lot, and I don't know if motivate's the right word, if that's the word you would choose, but just try to get people, hey man, if you're looking to do something, and I know you were talking about becoming a millionaire and people that say, hey, you need to be it by this time. And you're like, hey, there's trillions of dollars out there floating in the internet. You can just grab it, trying to get people driven. Is that kind of the majority of like your one-on-one stuff that you're doing? I mean, I know that you're already dealing with successful people, but on your one-on-one, is it mainly on the higher end? You doing everybody? How's that piece working?
Well, I think guys come to me because they lack a lot of like know-how, and I just kind of explain it in a very simplified, uncomplex way of just getting things. And again, I'm doing that in air quotes. The thing is that everybody would like to be wealthy and rich, but a lot of guys today are I mean, if I can put it this way, quitters.
Mhm.
And, you know, they've been bubble wrapped their entire life, maybe helicopter parented, you know, quite often from a single parent household. You know, one of the unique characteristics of boys from a single parent household is that most of them come from single moms, is they never really learn how to be a man. They don't understand masculinity. They don't know how to deal with rejection, you know, as a strong example. So like a lot of the times they just throw up their hands in the air and say, it's not worth it. There's not enough money out there, you know, Rich, that like all the money is in the pockets of the richest people in the world and they're all crooked. So why should I even bother? You know, for you to say that you should be a millionaire by the age of 30 or 40 years old is completely absurd and you're disconnected from reality. Really?
Yeah.
That's your opinion. Well, whether you believe you can or you can't, you know, you're definitely right, my friend.
Yeah.
Right.
Exactly.
And it's like, you know, the starting point most guys have, and it's just not with money. It's, you know, the approach to life in general. I mean, take a look around North America. Like 2/3 of the population is categorically fat or obese, right? That's how they decide to live every single day. You know, they don't want to chase excellence. They would excuse me, most of the population would rather just have things handed to them. They don't want freedom. They want free shit. Like I'm just looking at voting patterns and what people are making the most noise about. And those seem like the obvious ones to me.
Yeah. Yeah. It seems, you're right. It seems like people just don't want to do the work. And if something doesn't go their way, they quit and they don't want to put in more work or adjust what they're doing. Very quickly, they end up, you know, throwing in the towel.
Mhm.
And that's another thing too. That was a shame about the Olympics. I don't know what kind of viewership you guys got up there. Canada did well, by the way. I like to watch these athletes striving for excellence. I don't want to watch,
Mhm.
you know, propaganda and protests and all that other
Yeah,
stuff.
you don't want to deal with the woke mob and the
No.
social justice agenda. I mean, you want to watch elite athletes compete against each other. And today in the Olympics, you have men competing in women's categories that were
Oh, God.
biologically born as men. Or
Yeah.
you have, you know, like outrage mob people just making big deals about standing or sitting for national anthems. It's like, you know, your job is to compete. Your job is not to stand or bend the knee. Stand up like you properly should, like you've been taught to. You know, go through the motions and then compete with the other people and, you know, compete in your category. Don't, you know, if you're born biologically as a man, competing as a woman just doesn't make sense.
Yeah.
And to even let it happen, that's even the crazier thing is how can you sit there and you've seen that big shift where now, okay, men can participate in women's sports. You just crushed women's sports. I
Well,
mean,
I don't know
think
if you
about
guys
it.
heard, but I mean, there was a beauty pageant winner, I think, in Nevada that was biologically born as a male,
Oh
and
boy.
all that message sends to women and girls is that men are better at
I was
everything,
going to say
including
that.
being women.
Yeah. I mean,
They're
think
even
about
better at being a woman than they are.
Yeah, like, but
Oh, man.
that's what they're pandering to. I mean, that's why I constantly tell guys, you know, turn off cable, cancel your cable, turn off the mainstream media, do not
Yeah.
watch the news, you know,
Yeah.
unplug from the lies, which is really what the title of my book is, you know, the Unplugged Alpha is unplugging from all these lies so
Yeah.
that you can see the code in the matrix for what it really is. Because if you're going to keep bombarding yourself with societal narratives that are going to keep weakening you and making you stupid and plugging you into like sheeple sort of mindset, then, you know, what are you going to expect to live in? Like, what sort of life are you going to have? Like, there's one thing that's become abundantly clear to me about society is that people love being ruled. People want a ruler. They love being ruled. Throughout history, human beings loved having a ruler, and that's no different today. It's just the rulers that they're falling in love with, they just don't make any sense to me.
Yeah.
Yeah. And you know what? Here's another thing too. I guess we can't even call it in the United States anymore. You can't call it amateur athletics in college. You know, the NCAA pretty much just got why I don't even know what they're going to do. They're not protecting the amateurism of college sports anymore. I wonder what's going to happen when they start really broadening that sword when it comes to allowing those who were born as men, boys, compete in women's athletics. Your scholarships are just going to be gone. And, you know, it's going to have an adverse effect. And let me ask this. Why do you think that it continues knowing that it's going to destroy things like beauty pageants for women or college athletics for girls?
You know, I'm at the point where I just don't care. You know, it's not a fight that I'm willing to throw my time, effort, and resources at. I'm more of the enjoy the decline camp sort of guys, like put your feet up, pour yourself a drink and just watch it burn and enjoy your life. I don't see any, good use of my time trying to fight the societal narrative that clearly is what the vast majority of the population wants.
Oh, yeah.
Instead, I just quietly kind of go about, my days in my life. I talk about things that I find interesting, that I hope are useful to other guys, that makes sense, that allow them to level up in their own lives and get better results. That's what I focus on. I mean, I just disconnect from it is what my approach is. And it's not a bury your head in the sand and just ignore it sort of approach. It's I don't care. If they want to burn it down, if they want to, do this, that, and the other thing, then, let them feminize boys. It's under parents' control to decide if they're going to allow nonsense happening to their children in the school system and the family court system. And if they want to tolerate it, then that's their choice. It's not a fight that I'm willing to, it's not a hill that I want to die on. It's a waste of my time to do that.
Yeah. And those little fights are going all over the place. Go ahead, Rick. Sorry about that, buddy.
No, so I was going to say, so primarily you're focused on just kind of getting your coaching stuff out there, just trying to educate people and, educate men, I should say, just to become better men. Is that kind of the premise of what?
Yeah, I usually put out short, tight clips, and I also do longer format content. Like I have my Unplugged Alpha podcast, now on my YouTube channel, Entrepreneurs in Cars. I did the 5th episode last night, which was, built around becoming rich, becoming a millionaire. So I just have conversations with guys. They ask me questions like, how do I deal with this? How do I deal with that? And I typically make content around that that's easy to digest with practical, useful, actionable steps for them to take. Not everybody's going to take them. Some people will watch them and do nothing with it. Fine. That's their choice. But those that choose to act will get results.
Sure. Because I think the biggest thing that I've seen as far as the entrepreneurial side is just, it's that constant trying to reach out, right? So if you had a source, i.e. somebody like you that could go, hey, I'm trying to do or get into this space versus me doing all this extra work, because again, that's wasted time that I can be focused towards other things, is kind of driving in that right direction. Is that kind of what you're doing, or you're just giving them a broad brush stroke of how to execute?
Yeah, I'm more of let's identify the target and then every day make choices that get you to that target.
Yeah,
because for me it's simple. Like if I have a goal, like i.e. I would like to buy a new McLaren, for example. I know what the price point is. I know what's required to get it insured. I know, I know all of these things. Every day, I have the ability to get up out of bed and make choices that could get me closer to that goal or take me further away from it, depending on what I'm deciding to do with my time. There's only 24 hours, in a day. Typically, I'm sleeping 8 of them. So that only leaves me with a short amount of time to be useful. And it's like, okay, well, what am I going to use my time for? That's why when people come at me with like, oh, check out this story, Rich, look at the outrage of this, that, and the other thing, and you got to cover that. And it's like, no, I just ignore it now. It's not important to me. And I don't think that, putting out content or having, like Maury Povich for men sort of channels is useful. For me, my preference is not to entertain people with like, oh, look how bad women are. There's a lot of content and YouTube channels out there now that are highly focused on, let's try to hold this category of people or women accountable, and they turn it into entertainment. They turn it into outrage. And a lot of guys tune into that because it's attractive to them, because it gives them an opportunity to sit back and be like, see, I told you that was a waste of my time. Girls are a waste of your time. Chasing money is a waste of time. Chasing excellence is a waste of time. Don't bother lifting weights and learning combat sports. And they'll just sit back and be like, see, it's all a waste of my time because of this outrage drama over here. And it just it's a never-ending circle of loserdom. Sitting around consuming loser content, becoming more of a loser, not doing anything with your life. And the thing that I find people get wrong the most often is they think that my content is about girls or chasing girls or not liking girls or any of those things. And it really isn't, because when you understand it, like when you really pay attention, you understand that it's about putting yourself first. It's about the concept of what's called mental point of origin, where with every decision, with every choice that you make, you look at how it's going to affect you and whether it's positive for your life or it's going to be a negative in your life. Basically, if it's going to be an anchor or a sail. So, anchors obviously, hold you back and they hold you in place. They're very useful for that. Or you want, sails, which fill with wind, and they'll take you, they'll take you through the passage to your next port of call. You want sails in your life as a guy, right? Like you want to fill that sail with wind so you can move to your next port of call, and you have to cut anchors off.
Yeah. And there was a video a while back where you had said something that falls in line with that. And it's not only what they're doing individually with their tasks or lack thereof each day, it's who they're hanging out with. You made a comment that you become the average of who the folks you hang out with, which I think was unbelievable. And conversely, I hang out with Rick. I feel that he elevates me and we bounce things off and make things better. So I would think that that's probably one of the toughest things to convey, that this person, even though they've been in your life a long time, may not be helping you. Have you run into that a lot?
A lot. There's an example that stands out that I can tell you about in the last month or so. I had a guy call in on one of my shows, younger guy, maybe in his mid-20s, was hanging out with his stepbrother. It was a stepbrother. Okay, so he was raised with this kid, parents were divorced, so he's raised with a stepbrother. And his stepbrother's married to this woman. They're in their late 20s, both of them. And he's upset because he goes to a nightclub or some kind of bar event, a social gathering, and his stepbrother is passed out drunk on the floor, behaving like a complete loser. And his stepbrother's wife is flirting with other guys, getting numbers, and not coming home that night. So, he's basically asking me questions like, well, what do I do with that? Why are women so terrible? How do I help them? And it's like, those are all the wrong questions to be asking. Get rid of this loser. He's a loser. Okay. If he's going out to public venues, public events, getting pissed drunk and can't stand on his own 2 feet, and you're getting mad at his wife because she's talking to other guys and potentially going home with them. Apparently, his stepbrother did not see his wife that night. She went home with somebody else. He doesn't know where or what happened, obviously. But the point still remains is none of these things are things that you can control, nor should you concern yourself with. If your stepbrother chooses to be a loser, chooses to get pissed drunk and let his wife, behaving that way, then that's his problem. Don't let him make his problem your problems. And I basically sum it up with like, look, if you're the smartest guy in the room, you're in the wrong room. And clearly in this room of 3 people, he was the smartest guy. So what are you still hanging out in that room for? Right.
And I think, Rich, you hit the nail on the head, right? So people don't understand how to cut away that baggage or stuff that's dragging them down, because I think part of it is they're really just not driven. And I think at the end of the day, that's what it boils down to, is you've got to be a driven individual. Because if you think about it, if you're overweight, well, you're not putting your time in. If you're sitting there struggling with whatever issues at work or entrepreneurialism or whatever it is, it's getting up each day, hitting that grind and going after it. And like you said, doing that unplug, I think that's the whole key part. Are you seeing that there's more of a decline towards driven, or people just need to kind of get that poke or that direction to be driven?
Well, I don't think that trying to motivate people to be driven is a good way to go about it. People always ask, how do I get motivated? How do I get focused? How do I, whatever? It's like, if you're not able to be productive, that's not something that I'm going to fix by telling you to recite, these 2 paragraphs every morning, or let's get all jacked up on some, Gary V short clip or something like that every single morning, or some motivation thing. It's like, motivation comes from within. Like, you've got to want it. I mean, you're either going to find a way or you're going to find an excuse, is what I tell guys. Right. And it's like, obstacles will drop in your path, and sometimes, they can be problematic, but, one of the things you got to be good at as a man, to be a good man, rather than being good at being a man, is you have to be able to solve problems. And if you can't solve problems, then you're never going to achieve, that higher level of self-fulfillment, that awakening, that unplugging.
Yeah. Now, you spoke about parents, and many of these single parent homes happen to be housed by women, and these men and these boys are growing up there. Do you have a lot of clients that are women?
Yeah, I talk to a lot of women. Not as many as men, though, for sure. It's probably a 10-to-1 ratio, men to women. But there's a handful of women that seek out advice, and they book my time, and they, look for consultations. But for the most part, I tend to work with men. I just find it easier relating to them and communicating the ideas that make sense to them.
Yeah. Where can people find your stuff besides, going, to Amazon and looking for your book? What's the best place for them to seek you out? Is it the website?
I would just go to the YouTube channel. Like there's close to
Okay.
1,000 videos there. They're all free. There's some really great playlists in there organized, so if you're a guy going through divorce, there's lots of videos on that. If you're looking for self-care information on, improving the optics of masculinity and strength, I got videos on that. I got videos on dating. But I mean, if you want a nice summary, I'd say go to Amazon and just grab the book or the Audible version, because I narrate it myself. There's tons of great content there that will really help enlighten guys to set the path to clarity. The reviews have been fantastic. So if you want the free stuff, go to the YouTube channel. It's Entrepreneurs in Cars. If you want the literature, then go to Amazon and buy the book. It's called The Unplugged Alpha.
Awesome.
And then, Rich, if you had one piece of advice to give somebody, what would that piece of advice be?
Well, it depends on the age, but I mean, like generally speaking, it boils down to 3 words, which is just do the work. It's all fine and dandy to whine and complaining about, cards that you've been dealt, and life is tough. Trust me, I know. I'm a guy too. I've dealt with a lot of bullshit in my life as well, but nobody really cares. The truth of the matter is it probably summed up well with Chris Rock's soundbite from Tambourine. I don't know if you guys saw the stand-up, but there's a clip in there where he said something along the lines of only women, children, and dogs are loved unconditionally. Men are only loved under the condition that they provide something.
Right.
Of course, he put that together when he was going through his divorce, and he came to some realizations, himself. But that's really a cold hard truth bomb. Is guys are only valuable so long as they're able to produce, and don't be a tax cattle. Like, don't produce to like give it all away to other people. Like, you should be producing for yourself first.
Yeah. Really appreciate you being here, and the stuff that you're putting out, man, it's just awesome. And it's just good stuff. It's hard to hear the truth sometimes, and you definitely deliver it on a daily basis.
Thank you.
So, all right, buddy. Thanks, Rich. Thanks for joining us today, pal.
Thanks for having me.
All right. What a great show, Rick. Man, Rich is he's a good dude, man.
100%, man. That was just good stuff, and hopefully that'll inject a little testosterone into our male listeners, viewers out there.
Well, if it doesn't, then there's something wrong with us. You know what I mean? Because he is matter of fact, and he gets after it, and he tells it like it is. And you know what? It needs to be done. And I like the theme of a lot of his stuff is just do the work. We say that all the time. Have a goal, do something every day to reach that goal or move toward it, and try to become better every day. And
that's it, man. Super easy.
Yeah. I strongly suggest that people are looking for some good content, and kind of help themselves out if they have goals that they're trying, or they're on a rut and they're trying to move forward. Go visit his page on YouTube. Just unbelievable. So we want to thank another company. This one's, I'll let you take this one. These guys do a great job.
Yeah, so Travis and the guys at Alpha Elite Performance, a special forces veteran owned business, super fantastic supplement products. Again, I will always harp on this. I don't know of anyone else in the market that has their heavy metal detox. I think Travis and the only ones that have. So if you are around heavy metal, so especially for us being on the range all the time, man, that heavy metal detox, get that crap out of your system prior to having time to get into your bones. Check out their other great products, recovery drinks, their GBNT, which if you're not familiar with that, would be the Green Beret nap time. So a nice nighttime recovery formula, get you some good sleep. But yeah, definitely go check out Alpha Elite Performance. Use code OTR15 and save you a boatload of cash while you're getting yourself physically fit. Oh yeah.
Yeah. And last but certainly not least, go visit battlebrothers.com. The Battle Brothers Shaving Company, owned and operated by Andrew Weiss. What a great guy. The premium shaving products. Treat yourself, men. Go out there and buy yourself some great shaving stuff. They have the beard oil that Rick uses, and his beard is looking fantastic. It's never looked any better, by the way.
I don't think so.
Yeah. So the razor that I use from Battle Brothers is actually made from the same military grade aluminum that they use in the UH-60s Black Hawk. So what a great story and what a great product. Go check them out at battlebrothers.com and treat yourself, guys. Shave like shave like our grandfathers and fathers did, man. Do it up. Don't go buy some cheap disposable blade. Yeah. So anyway, thank again to Kill Cliff and Combat Flip Flops, and thank again for Rich Cooper appearing. And man, let's do it again soon, Rick. Great day.
Absolutely,
and
buddy.
everybody be safe out there.
Yeah, man.
See
You
you,
guys take
pal.
care. All right, man.